Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to this new webinar with ServiceNow. And today is the second webinar on IT service management in non-IT sectors. I mean service management in non-IT sectors, in the telecom sector. The previous one was in the banking sector and today is for telecom. And probably we'll have new webinars on other sectors. So our speaker today is Ali from ServiceNow, and he will start the presentation now. Ali, please start.
Thank you very much, Rania. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this live webinar. Today, we are going to discuss about how to implement or how ServiceNow would be implementing in ServiceNow Telecom and telecommunications, and specifically. This would be a little bit sort of talking about how it's connecting customers and network workflows inside telecom on one platform, and specifically we're talking about ServiceNow. Just to clarify, my name is Ali Al-Khayat. I'm a solution consultant manager with Quintica, which is a partner of ServiceNow. I have approximately around, you can say, 12 years experience in the platform of ServiceNow and in implementing ServiceNow into different industries, mainly working with information technology. We had successful implementations of projects inside North America and in the Middle East. So the agenda today would be talking about the telecom current situation. We will give some use case so I can sort of elaborate to you guys how that use case would go and how would that look sort of in ServiceNow. I'm not going to do a demo similar like a demo, but so more into the slide decks. I'll show you how it look like from the perspective of each person, from an end user, from an alert starts, and from the agents. Then before the last, I'll just sort of show some subjects about some products and features that ServiceNow does have available in the platform to serve certain areas on top of the main solution. And then we'll leave it up for questions for the last 10 to 5 minutes. If there's any questions, we'll answer. So we'll start first to actually talk about what is the current situation in telecom and what sort of challenges that faces the telecom industry. And from there, we can look at the point of from the business sector in the telecom. We know that the new network technologies like the 5G, you can see the SDN and fiber, in the business sector is becoming the most significant growth engine for the telcos. And in the coming years, this is one of the challenges that this is as the growth still happens. And you can see there's a lot of aspects that this brings into place. One of the big ones that's coming in the last few years, we're talking about the IoT, the Internet of Things, in the areas of when you start talking about communications, healthcare, transportation, media and entertainment, e-commerce, manufacturing, retail. So all these aspects similar that uses part of the telecom that feeds into it from a perspective of using these like 5G coming into place, sort of the SDN fiber. So as we know, with numerous businesses across all industries, it's creating more and more connected products, right, and services. And as I mentioned, if you take one example alone, which is the 5G, it had over the 89% year-over-year growth rate. And this is was a study based on Deloitte studies. And such as these wireless broadbands, the actual that competes with fixed cable, looking at it from an anonymous anonymous cars that's coming into place. Average fueling, gaming, news, it all comes in. These industries is using the telecom area, which is a big challenge for the telecom to provide the end users with sort of a stable network that actually can be handled with minimum disruptions and serve the customer service from perspective of easiness and provide the right tools in place. So going into the business customers that they expect today, which is a frictionless experience here. So if we take these three areas that we look at from avoiding the business disruption, that is really a key point to identify and resolve these issues quickly and more effectively. Looking at it from the adhering to the agreed SLAs that's been agreed with business and customers, providing that full transparency to the end users from the perspective of having sort of a communications between both that seamless, gives them those disruptions that happening beforehand, or if there's a disruption, how to remediate that, which is really quick. And as well as how to deliver that customer care across the B2B, which is the business to business, and get the value chain. Looking at the middle part of it, which we talk about the digital first engagement, which is how we actually provide these flexibility by empowering the web and mobile self-service tools, have the ability to actually view and manage these, and the change services that's available to hand it out. Looking at from the perspective as well to give the abilities to troubleshoot and resolve issues, and have that available for their teams, and to be able to get that moving on. Looking at the last piece of it, which is the personalized assistance when they need it, and that's actually what's smooth in the context of transition to assist the care when needed, and not having these repeated themselves as these assistants are available to drive these conversations into place. So if we look at from the telecom customer care organizations, and they are not yet able to meet the expectation. And if we look from the other side of this equation, you'll see like the telecom customer care representatives are still struggling through numerous and complex legacy systems and the processes that address the customer requests. So as you see, looking at and for anyone who actually saw the last sort of webinar that I had, it all talks about the same functionality when we went to retail banking. Similar concept here, which is you have a lot of processes, a lot of back-end systems, legacy systems that comes in from billing, finance. Looking at there's the teams from the engineering, you have the field tech services, you have the operations in place, and you'll find that representative who's actually serving that front end customer running into that sort of delays by finding out who is the right area that I should be contacted, and finding out how I can serve the front end customer in a fashion matter, and meeting the SLAs by increasing that customer CSAT and NPS scores. At the same time, what you see here that increases the cost to serve, more important, to serve the customers, and more importantly here, it also impacts the customer satisfaction, as I mentioned, and the loyalty to the telecom industry. Now, and another part, which is another root cause that causes this, as you see from this screen here, is the teams who are actually working in silos, and how that actually causes more time to actually engage and have the teams into one place. So you look at it from multiple dimensions of these silos in the telecom. Companies have, like, department silos. You have the channel silos. You have the product line sales on a part silos. You have the IT systems, and the list goes on, as we can see. So all this does is just add that layer of complexity to the business to business or the business to customer when you start having sort of these customers served in a timely manner. And these are just key points that, if you can see, we highlighted, which is these, again, it's just probably repetitive, but from legacy systems, complex processes, having that swivel chair, and the long handling times, raising costs to serve, SLA breaches, and poor CSAT and NPS. These are the key sort of points that most affect the challenges that telecom in industry that we see, and how we can further proceed. And what are we against now? So if you look at from looking at it from raising expectation here, so we know in the increase of visibility to drive this productivity and the delight customers, we have 20 plus reps that needs to be swivel chair across more than 20 apps. And if you look at this point, is again coming from that sort of complicity that he actually has to go through. We need to, looking at the shift to the new technologies, and now you can see, like, driving the growth through the next generation services, which is we're looking at 5 trillion in between from mobile technologies and services to generate that 5 trillion in global economic value, and that was by 2024. Looking at it from the disruptive competitors, that's another point that you're looking at, how to compete with on experience and quality while managing these costs. And we're looking at 86.8 billion, and that's from looking at the global over the top services market, which is projected to reach that 86 billion by that 2026. Now, as a telecom customer care or from the organization must transform to be a reactive, from being reactive to be in a proactive way. And the only way to survive and thrive in this space is to transform that customer care, and being an inherently reactive and complex, and to actually handle that complex processes into being proactive. And that's by looking from the AI-driven processes, and if we want to look more precisely with ServiceNow that can bring to the table, there are 4 aspects that in this approach that we can look at. And if we look at sort of the first part, which is automate the issue resolutions, we're looking at detecting and automating the resolution. This will resolve will resolve issues without actually having the customer even being aware, which comes into that as the key to this, as connecting the solutions in ServiceNow with an automated service assurance solution, and this is one of the products that actually ServiceNow do provide in the platform, and it comes as an enterprise. Looking at the second one, which is how do we get the proactive engagement. So from that area, we want to keep the customers informed on the current disruptions, right? And we want to have them actually know how we can actually resolve these key points. And we want to always be letting those customers to know what is the issue and how we can actually first move into the solution, and we already have the solution in place for that. And that really provides some sort of a sort of communication way that we are always on the top of the services. Looking at the third point here that we have from the personalized self-care, business customers actually expect to be empowered with the comprehensive and self-service tool that will allow them to learn, make service changes, look at and troubleshoot issues on their own by giving some sort of that sort of knowledge that, you know, most of the times people would actually be able to sort of solve simple issues that if they're provided by a few steps at how this can be handled. Not necessarily always you have that, but that's another way to give that option available to reduce sort of the flow of calls, and at the same time more from an awareness perspective. So by doing that part, you are actually reducing that calls on the service desk and giving that sort of relief to move into more proactive areas to you know, continue and achieving on that point, and then reducing the cost from that perspective. Looking at the last piece, which is the simplified sort of assist care, which is assisting, which is empowered the agents to provide that by assisting the customer care in the call and entering the actual entering by those critical channels, allowing them to resolve more complex issues. And with ServiceNow, we can actually simplify the experience for the customer care reps by giving them with one interface available on their desktop, mobile, to handle every customer's issues quickly and more effectively by serving them in the relevant knowledge and leaving that AI-driven guidance to take that right time. Now, overall of this correlated detected issue to impact the customer, you can see that allows us to reduce the cost to serve, improve the productivity, and drive that CSAT NPS as an overall. Now, each of those sort of 4 pillars that we are talking about, it drive an improvement in that business metrics. So when looking at automating that issue resolution, reduces our MTTR, which is the mean time to resolve, and preventing SLA breaches. Looking at the aspect from the proactive customer engagements that we have from the engagement proactivity, it allows us to actually sort of drive that average revenue per unit by proposing that cross up and sell and offers at the right time throughout the customer preferred channel, personalizing that self-care increase with the digital adoption. Looking at as well increasing that CSAT and reducing that call volumes by providing that information. If you look at from this self-service, and this all falls into, as you can see, it's sort of like a chain. You actually start reducing areas and increasing areas where the business actually looks at. So if you look at the digital channeling that you provide, that increases adoption, increases the call deflections by providing that personalized self-care, and that allows sort of the end user having that one single sort of portal that drives him into the right directions, providing them a sort of virtual agents, providing them like those knowledge, providing them the chat functionality, the ability to create themselves those requests that is sort of available by those automated workflows to them. When you start empowering those agents in there, you start having an increasing in the first call resolution, looking at the average handling time to be decreased, looking at the truck rolls in general to be decreased. And this actually gives you sort of an insight where each of these 4 solutions can drive, but in an overall, again, we actually are in a reduced the cost to serve, and again, we can have that time to improve the productivity and drive that CSAT and in general. So this, I want to stop enough talking about that most of the challenges, and I want to go more in sort of bring up a simple use case, and through that use case we would drive, and then later I can show you how this actually gets driven in the forms with this. So with this scenario, we have that proactive support of an SD-WAN connectivity service. So when we start looking at it from the startup, so we have that monitoring system that is connected to the back end with those alerts and events. Alerts would automatically be created to what we call to the network operation, which is the NOC, and from there that checks the alert what the impacting multiple locations, allows that creation of an incident in the back end, the case for the front customer. The system, based on those attributes that we have, would automatically propose to a major case. The major case manager gets into looking at that and sort of validating and identifying the major case, and then from there actually to confirm that it is a major case. There are cases, child cases to be created to send those notifications to the affected customers by that CI that came in from the alert. These get cascaded back to the customer agents in the call center, update the case and notify the customer. And we have a customer here with Julie. Sometimes you would end up with having scheduling appointments with the field service technicians to go and visit and drive some fixes. The field agent gets that information, uses his mobile to move and visit the customer by available schedules that's been agreed over the call, and fixes that router issue, closes the incident. Major case manager has been aware, and then based on that, the incident closes all the major. So it's a typical scenario that we run into today in normal telecommunications. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is a similar, it's a use case that starts from bringing all the aspects that we were talking about. So if you look at it from the perspective of the monitor and connected, an alert generated that. So if you want to think from the perspective of an sort of an alerted driven, which is a proactively being notified and aware that there is an impact, looking at it, analyzing it, and then you are informing the end users or the customers of that issue and be aware, and then having the agents contacting them and sort of providing that field service agent or on the spot resolve solutions, and how you can actually deal back and close these tickets from one single place. Now, when you look at this whole scenario, we never left one platform. Here is a full solution that's been running on one platform from start to end, and it drives that that complicity is removed, and giving them one-stop shop. Now, in the next slides, I will start mimicking what you just saw, sort of from platform perspective, which is when we talked about that proactive monitoring. So this would be from the operator workspace, looking at monitoring the network infrastructure and on the deployed services, and to detect those issues instantly. What we actually ended up is reducing that mean time to resolve and SLA risks. And that's by enabling the network operations engineers to identify the issues as soon as they occur on the system. Simple window that the agents are actually on, and as you can see, the alert is on the system. This router down, and in this case, it's urgent, it's critical, it's all prioritized. Now, the agent from this screen can actually go into that alert, and as you can see, there's how this system is actually providing that next step. So you have an improved automation, and that affects the install base, right? So the improving of the efficiency by providing those network operators of the automated alerts. You have that piece on the screen, which is telling you from the agent assist area, you look at from the timelines, you have all the install base for that customer and what is being affected. It's a one alert area that the agent never needed to go into another window from this perspective. Now, from this same window, the agent is able to create an incident from this alert or create a case as well and inform the users. And this next page as well starts allowing you to, one thing I wanted to bring back up here as well is you have the remediations options as well. So sometimes a simple fix by remediating, and you can build those workflows in place and have that remediation into it. So from there, a major case that we talked about earlier in that scenario, you can directly create it from that sort of a window that they have. So you can see before the customer was aware, a proactive case was created, proposed directly to a major case. And then from there, you can start seeing that the targeted communication can go up. Now, allows that to sort of the customer service agents track those service disruptions into one place, notify those customers that affected, having all those sort of notes, SLAs, child tickets, all the email interactions into this same window. So it allows us to, by leveraging that sort of monitoring capability of bringing in the events and alerts, using that workflow orchestration piece if it's required to remediate or actually to create those rules. We are looking at an easy way for those customer agents as well to get informed and track the progress on with the resolver teams, because you're actually now having the teams updating into one major incident or one major case, and that gives them that stop shop to always be in an update mode when a customer calls in. This is managing the SLAs efficiently by providing that visibility to the customers, because you have that one main case, and as well as providing them with the outages that's in the front end. So that major case automatically, let's say, created, as you can see on this screen here from the case. So it allows us to improve that automation, right, from the system automatically analyzing and proactively creating based on these attributes. It sort of goes into improving that efficiency by providing those agents with the impact analysis and the detail that was inherited from that event alert that came into the system. This has all these attributes that allows the agent to troubleshoot. One big important thing that really drives and brings this into place is actually from that sort of major case, it drives to actually create those child incidents and simply allow the agents to put the detail from the major incident. And as you can see in this screenshot, is just start creating or adding a new cases. So in some areas you have agents just creating cases and you need to bring them in. You can just add them here, or you can just click on the new and start taking that call if somebody's been reported. This sort of automation, which is some places you can set up the workflows to detect that impacted customers to take automatically based on the affected stall base that we call that router. We can improve the efficiency as well by enabling the agents to generate those child incidents and to the impacted customers by one click. So just create, and you can add the recipients and send those improved messages. You're looking at allowing, as I said, from the major case management, having that one place that handles most of these cases into the platform, and controlling the effectiveness of moving this to a resolve state. This is another area, as it allows you to see, you can actually compose those messages directly from the system on the child incidents. So this is another way that we actually in ServiceNow you improve those customer experiences by having those dedicated communications on a level of a child case directly, or on a level of on the level of the main case. Now, as we looked at earlier when we are talking about the field services, now some cases this just leverages sort of the mobile app and the capability of having the offline. And this is one area that's really important when you come back to having those field services in place, which they are on the road constantly, access sometimes areas that there is no internet, or there's no Wi-Fi or networks. It gives the capability of sort of working offline mode, getting the data, updating it, and then going back into an online mode to update the system directly. As you can see, it's after the schedule and dispatch happen with the customer, the agent on his phone get those notifications, address location with native integration allows you to really use the maps or the contact by the phone and access in an easy way. And as you see, you can accept or reject simply by a swipe of a fingertips and having accepting or rejecting the assigned tasks to the field service agent. You have the native capability of adding the way that you add work notes to a ticket, or opening the camera, taking a screenshot of the damage, or and adding it to the case directly. Attaching a file. It's just a native capability, but this really provide from the perspective to the field technician, faster and easier mobile experience, and that by integrating what I mentioned, the geolocation tracking, swipe actions, and the integrated maps. That offline read and write, which is available in the disconnected area, as that just improves the more from the perspective that we know those field agents are actually facing that scheduling and dispatching, which was important by the agent who called back the customer to say, I'll find out who's close to come over, what time you're available, to send our agent to fix the issues on site. And then having that the part management. So some areas or some use cases that you have certain cars or certain field services in their car having certain parts available, and that even allows to find out who's the closest sort of field service agent to the area that needs to be visited, as well as what parts available in his car to actually allow the dispatcher to select the right person and dispatching it to the customer, and based on the availability of that areas. Then we ended up with, after everything resolved, giving that communication piece back to end user, having that customer portal available, allowing the customer to close the case within the time, or auto close if they actually left it and the system would auto close it. But as you can see, it provides to the end user the resolution progress. It's a bidirectional communication between both by using that self-service. And looking at this functionality provides similar functionalities of what the customers are using, in the other industries, and sort of having that seamless views, if you like, from the portal. And looking at it from the other aspect, which is really important, is not just we had went through the whole scenario, but we actually, this allows us to more identify these opportunities of automation and having more to the self-service. So by running these intelligent reports, they are ready to use over 400 plus KPIs, as well as you can create your own in the system. There's the multiple out-of-the-box roles to specific dashboards, or you can create the own roles that allows different stakeholders or different roles in the company to view what relevant reports that allows them. So if you look at the one that we have from the proactive customer service operations and how well they're doing, and create those initiatives to increase productivity, find out and propose new ways of working, and on top of all that, this is all integrated into one platform. So the dashboard with these reports is in one place, that you don't need to get out and find another system to run these reports, because as you can see, all this data is being actually into one place, and it's all about taking the current situations that we have run, how to enhance it with the continuous service improvement that we come into. What is the KPIs? What do we have done? What do we can improve? Eventually takes it out from having it in one platform instead of running into these multiple platforms or multiple systems to gather that information and to come into that final result, which you only have to do just by putting the right reports into the right places because the data is all there. So again, why ServiceNow and telecommunications service management, and why is it delivering the better experience while we are improving, as you see, that profitability and the operational resilience. So when you talk about seamless part of it, which is the Unite Order Management and Assurance on a single platform, the consistent of you accelerate the self-service and validate the order, you validate the order accuracy with the catalog-driven workflows, because there's a workflow engine that is there. You have the zero touch, which is that reduces the manual efforts with dynamic automated workflows, and that which is a part of the alert remediations that you can drive as well, and then and using the AI capability to drive that from an efficient way that we're talking about, improving the productivity and transparency across the enterprise customers via some what we call e-bonding, and that allows to having systems connected together and having that seamless integration. So come to one area which is really condensed, and I wanted to bring this slide because sort of it talks about the whole aspects when you look at this from the perspective of let me see if I can here just laser point. So when you look at the nice thing about this slide that I like, it covers from the customers areas, the partners, and how you provide that self-service with the omni channels. And you're not leaving that one platform. It's all on one platform that actually you're providing. But the interaction through those omni channels, from a phone perspective, from a chat, portal, email, the community that you can put available, which has the community, and providing that service catalog for the request. You look at the aspect in the back end that serves. So these catalogs, service catalogs, has those digital workflows. Through these omni channels comes into what it's in the back end, which is have those machine learning and AI capability that generates sort of the cases. Virtual agent is another channel that supports sort of it supports the call center agents and to drive more of the complex or less complex calls that can be handled. You have the support agents, which is equipped with all these the agent workspace, which is what you saw, and everything is at a tip of the hand, and they can actually move. Knowledge, which is available, as I mentioned earlier, to the end users with less complex steps that they can actually try to handle and have that reduces or deflect those calls from the agents. Now, another piece which is really here that shine, which is looking at from the cloud infrastructure and Internet of Things that are and the connected devices, and how this actually automate and an automated and a proactive way, because it brings in that service aware CMDB. You have the event management integrated with together, and then the proactive communications that allows you to seamlessly talk back. Now, looking at this part of it, and how does it actually fits into the service management when it comes into the typical scenarios from an incident, change, request, problem, that work piece of it in the back end, and how this connects to the IT. There's that integration piece that allows to from problem management to handling that root cause analysis, and how the development engineering are actually working to find out. You have that RMA spares work orders that comes in, and from the case to the request to the more native mobile, using the offline maps and allowing those field services to be dispatched and visited to the customers. You have from the incident that operation level agreements with the back-end office that, again, if you remember in that first session that we had about talking from the other departments that handles, like, from facilities, legal, contract, billing, and this is all into one place using that system. This all being driven by a seamless integration using, with the sales automation, with the ERP systems. You have the engineering collaboration, service logics. This is all coming into that one, what we call the Now platform, which is, having one platform for the customers, for the network, all the processes in hand, and then enforcing that workforce. That's really the slide that I always look at, that how broader this is and how it brings all these services in together into that platform. So before I open for questions, I have these two slides. Just wanted to bring up on top of what we just talked. There are 4 products that actually ServiceNow and features that's available as well. So there is that order management for telecommunications and media, which the order management it's an application that enables those service providers to capture, manage, and fulfill orders from an enterprise customers, which is in the system. There is that other product, which is the telecommunication, and that, by the way, these are all in ServiceNow inside the one platform that integrates really well. So you're not bringing another platform on top of it. It's all into one platform. Telecommunications Service Operations Management, which is we talked sort of about the proactively monitoring and the health of the networks and the services that they provide, and prevent that downtime, and allowing streamline those responses with the event management and the operation intelligence. By the way, these are available more about it if you want, from perspective of understanding how these works on ServiceNow.com to understand more, and they provide more information about these in detail. The other two, or the last two that I wanted to highlight as well, which is the e-bonding for telecommunication and media, that allows the sort of integrate the ServiceNow instance with another ServiceNow instance, and which is being nowadays we hear a lot of customers are moving to ServiceNow, and having that enterprise customers to synchronize and receive the fulfill of those requests, and sort of create those published catalogs. So you would have, when you're serving other customers from a telecom perspective to another customer who actually have subscribe to that as a business to the telecom, they can sort of publish that catalog of the services that they provide them into their ServiceNow, and seamlessly allow them to sort of request from their own system or portal and it auto e-bond directly to the telecom system and goes through that cycle of workflow and updates them back. So that it's part of the e-bonding for telecommunications. You have the telecommunications and media assurance workflows. This enables the telecommunications service providers to more quickly restore the normal service operations when there's a network-initiated incidents that occur, and proactively identify and notify the customers impacted. So about those incidents. So again, as I said earlier, more information about these can be found on the ServiceNow.com website if you're interested and about these. So with this slide, sort of I gave back sort of some time for questions. If there's any questions, Rania, being asked on the session, please let me know.
Yes, thank you, Ali. You really put a great effort in delivering this presentation. I think it's visible. So please, everybody, if you have any question, please post it to the chat area so that Ali can discuss it for you. Ali, when you talk about the non-IT services, I think we should also refer to the internal services. So I mean, in the slide of the Now platform, you showed some hint about integration with internal systems, and you showed a block for internal departments like HR, finance, purchasing, etc. So this is a sort of non-IT services as well. So because in this webinar and in the previous webinar, we addressed external customers and providing it's all external facing, customer facing. What about internal departments?
So there are actually products about that talks about facilities from a legal perspective, from billing or contracts. Some of these are available, and some of these are embedded inside. Like when it comes to contracts available, we can actually sort of get into more, and we can actually see if people are more willing to understand about these back end operations from perspective of an HR. For example, there's a module for HR that ServiceNow has, and if there's an interest for that definitely we can sort of have that available as a webinar. Yeah,
I think it's very interesting, and I think we should do some webinar dedicated to such internal services.
Definitely,
if you like.
Definitely.
I have a comment from Geoff. He says no questions. No questions from me, but thank you for the presentation. So thank you, Geoff.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So okay, if you have any questions later you can send them to us, or you can send them to Ali, or post in the comment section on YouTube, and we'll get back to you. So thank you, Ali. Thank you, everybody, and see you next webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.